All right. Can everyone see these links? Okay. All right. I will kick it over to Taryn to kick off our July show and tell.
Thanks, Hallie. Hi, everyone. I'm Taryn. I'm the Senior Strategist of Beauty and Wellness here at FS. And today, my links are all photography inspired. So, for the first one, NASA created this interactive online platform using satellite images where users can type in their name or a word, and the website will generate the word using these Landsat images of different places around the world that all look like letters. And basically, like once you type your name in or a word, so Hallie, if you want to maybe give it a go, type in your name or just a word like hello or something like that. Um, but when you type it in, it'll generate all of the different images. And if you actually click the image itself, one of them, it'll tell you where it is. And then you can also, if you want to see different options, you can click enter again, and it'll generate different images. So yeah, you can save it, download it, share it. But I just thought this was a really cool way to kind of see our Earth and different landscapes. But it also reminded me of this photography trend from the 2010s. So, Hallie, if you want to go to my next link. So basically, it reminded me of this trend called alphabet photography, where people would take photos of objects or buildings and use the shapes to make letters and spell words. The trend was popularized by Canadian photographer Jennifer Blakely, who founded Alphabet Photography Inc. And her artwork was sold in stores like Target, Walmart, HomeSense. But I also found actually, Hallie, if you want to click my third link next to it, the Alphabet Photography website still has a generator, just like the NASA one, where you can type in a word, and it'll generate images for you. And then if you click one of the letters, it will show you all of the different options that the company has. It just takes a second to generate in the box. Yeah, there it goes. But it will show you all the different options and you can select through those. A lot of them are black and white, but they do have some color. But you can actually, I don't know if it's still, if you can still order it, but they have an option if you click out of it where um, you can actually have it framed and add to basket. Again, I don't know if this is still fully functional, but yeah, I thought that was cool. And just thought it was really interesting to see this photography trend kind of pop back up in a new way. And I love seeing it in the micro with the alphabet photography and then in the macro with the NASA images as well. So yeah, just thought it was really fun. And then for my last link, I came across this website called Dupe Photos, which is basically like if Pinterest was a royalty-free image website. So the founders of Dupe Photos saw that there was a disconnect between the images that we normally see on stock photo websites. A lot of images can feel dated or they might be overly posed. And they really wanted to create something that had more relatable content that was social led. So they created Dupe Photos and they kind of use Pinterest as inspiration. And as someone that uses Pinterest a lot for research, my big gripe with it is it's impossible to find credits. You know, anyone can just copy an image or someone's artwork and create their own pin and add it onto Pinterest. So it's really hard to find original creators through it. So I love that Dupe Photos kind of found a way to address this issue. All the images are super modern and relatable. And you can see all of the creators from each of the photos. So, and actually, Hallie, if you want to go to the top again, I also love that they organize a lot of their photos by aesthetic, popular aesthetic. So if you're looking for something in particular, like maybe you want to see Euro summer inspiration, or something else that's trending, you can click that and see what there is. And if you want to click just any image, Hallie, they also on the image will, oh, this one I don't think has it. Maybe, sorry, click another image. Um, yeah, it also has the aesthetics. So it lists who the creator is, the aesthetics, but then also has different tags attached to it. So if you want to search by different tags, you can do that as well. And if you scroll down on the image, um, it should have, is that all the way down? Sorry, Hallie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Some of them will have options where it'll also generate related content. So if there's something else that you really like and you want to see more options of it, that you can do that as well. So yeah, I love it. I spent so much time when I first discovered it, just like looking through all of the different photos available. And I just think it's a really great resource for sure. And really nice to see like creators getting the credit that they deserve for their work. But yeah, that's it from me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Taryn. All right, Julia.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Sklarova, and I'm the Materials Director here at FS. And today, I feel like the things that I've picked out have a common theme of sort of like materials and design based, and giving us a bit of a glimpse into how sort of projects and products could be designed in the future. So the first one I have is called the Biocamera, and it's basically a project by somebody called Haeyeon Woo. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. And it's actually called Etherlens Biocamera Project. And it basically reimagines photography by sort of replacing traditional film and sort of like chemical development more with like a living microorganism concept. And it basically, these microorganisms grow the images over time. And sort of instead of kind of instantly capturing photograph, you have sort of like light and UV light guiding the sort of the growth of these photosensitive microbes, and then it kind of allows an image to slowly emerge over time. I guess it's sort of similar in the way Polaroid works, but it's much slower, it's more organic led, and I also kind of like that the way this camera kind of has a bit of that sort of retro Polaroid but futuristic version aesthetic. And if you sort of scroll a bit further down, you can see a bit more of like how the images are forming. You can like recognize certain shapes because she's explored two different ways of working with this. There was one where she just completely lets the microbes do their thing and it's less controlled. And there's another version where she explored the idea of like being able to control the imagery a bit more, like the way it's sort of it kind of looks a bit more like a real photograph. And I love this idea where like, kind of rather than treating photography as a single moment of capture, this sees it as more of a living, evolving process, and that a final image is never really completely predictable because if it's left alone, these microbes will just continue to develop and change and grow. Um, and I think there's also this whole kind of concept that proposes a more sustainable biological approach to photography. There's less chemicals in the usage. And I also think it kind of challenges the idea of time and permanence and kind of image making within all of that, and also the way we interact with nature. And I find it quite inspiring because where generally technology, over time, we've been used to it, kind of it conditioned us, I guess, to expect immediate results and be sort of like very efficient. And this pushes back and embraces sort of time scale within like a biological concept rather than a manufacturing one. And I think I got drawn to it because it's part of a bigger picture or bigger shift that positions biology kind of as technology in its own right, which can compute and record and create, and it might be more effective to think or to let biology inform and shape technology rather than the other way around. So staying on the topic of kind of new design processes, my next link is called 2470 grams. And this is a collective project, and it was shown at Milan Design Week, but I think it has real sort of significance, so I wanted to bring it up and highlight it here. And it's basically a project. It's a group project of 12 furniture and kind of product designers from different material disciplines like glass blowing, metalworks, woodwork, glass, ceramics. And the whole aim of the project was to design a piece of furniture or lighting product that has the exact weight of 2,470 grams. And this whole concept of using limitation as sort of the starting point is really interesting, and it's really important. It's sort of reverting the design process and starting with the materials and the making process rather than aesthetics. And we do talk about limitations a lot. Like I know, Emma, bring it up quite often in sustainability and how we should be looking at these sort of like sustainability and material limitations as sort of a driver for creativity. And I quite like seeing it in this project. And I also think that, if we think about the rising costs of materials and maybe even like the scarcity of raw materials and things, it'd be quite, this sort of concept and this way of approaching design will probably be explored more over time, where you will have to work within much more sort of limited resources with a specific sort of amount of raw materials and so on. So I found that quite interesting. And I also really enjoy the aesthetics of it. I like this kind of sort of DIY industrial, but it's also very appealing. It's quite light. It does have a sense of like refinement in it as well. Which just proves to show that limitations are very good for creative flows. And then, so for my last link, I have something called Brew Lab, and I came across this. It's an industrial design project by someone called Sarah Ali, and I saw it at the Central St. Martin's Material Futures MA graduate show. So Sarah has created this coffee machine that's meant to brew flavors from the future, and she's picked sort of 3 days in the future. Is the 2027, so quite close, and then 2080, and then 2021-26. And she has harnessed the sort of the use of the NASA technology, climate predictions, and also she's worked with sort of research organizations within some of the botanics and the coffee research centers, where she was looking at things like extinct coffee species. And it was all sort of in order to look at how coffee aromas and flavors will be affected by climate change, of geological changes, and also how that would change our perception of the aromas and the flavors and sort of like tastes. And I think it's quite a smart way to kind of bring home the realities of the environmental change. Bring it really close to home, because I don't feel like there are that many things that are as easy to relate to as your sort of morning coffee. So I like sort of the way she drew that into sort of like a daily ritual, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, that will be all from me.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Julia. All right, now get over to Cairo.
Hi everyone. My name is Carolina. I'm a strategist with the home and lifestyle team, and I brought you 3 things that I've been kind of obsessed with lately. So if we go to the first link, yes, thank you. This is this Instagram account. This creator is called Vinny Creative, and honestly, I think if you work in any creative field, it's a really fun account to follow. I always loved graphic design, but because of because of my work normally centers around interiors, I don't always have the vocabulary for different graphic design styles. And normally I can usually recognize something visually, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I know what it's called. So this creator researches all these different types of design movements and visual aesthetics and typography styles and layouts and gives them names. So instead of just saving an image because it looks cool, you start understanding why it looks the way it does. So maybe we can just click on a video that he said that he's has, so we can, yeah.
Basic, organic tech, biker, high fashion, Arabian, claymorphism, industrial, skate culture, mosaic, Acubi, FIFA, ancient. Comments pin and I'll send you a link to all of these styles on Pinterest. Avant basic, organic.
So yeah, for me, that's incredibly useful because we're researching imagery all the time here at FS. So being able to actually label an aesthetic or understand where, a visual language comes from makes research a lot more stronger. So it's almost like learning a new design language instead of just collecting references. So I really, really like this creator. If we go to my second link, yes, thank you. I am a huge olive oil person. So this brand is called Elem, and they're creating infused olive oils specifically to encourage experimentation in the kitchen. So their first two flavors are Uji Matcha and Houghton Rose. And I know matcha is having a huge moment right now. It feels like a really nice example of how ingredients can move across categories instead of staying in their own lane. And matcha has become almost kind of like a lifestyle ingredient rather than just a beverage, which I love. But honestly, what first caught my attention was the packaging. I love grocery shopping because I'm always looking at the packaging before I even look, at the product. And their bottles almost look like skincare or a luxury fragrance packaging. And also, as we can see here, their Instagram is incredibly curated. It could honestly pass as a fashion brand. And I think we're seeing a lot of like food brands borrowing visual codes from beauty and wellness. So I feel like this makes these products feel more elevated and aspirational. So I really like it. I don't know where they sell this olive oil, but I'm pretty sure if you click on like their website, you can get onto a list. So I'm gonna be getting into the list.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is like just the visuals are stunning.
So nice. So my last link is probably my favorite. It's called the Pulse Ring. So most wearable technology today is about optimization, and it tells us how we sleep and how much we exercise and our heart rate. And I think that's amazing. But personally, I'm also someone who overthinks those numbers. If my watch tells me I slept badly, I think I'm gonna die the next day. So I really love this ring because it almost goes to the opposite direction. Instead of constantly giving you more information, it simply gives you a gentle haptic vibration every so often to remind you to pause and to breathe and to be present. The ring doesn't need your phone to work. They have a companion app, but it's optional. This ring is waterproof, it's made from hypoallergenic titanium, and the battery lasts about 21 days. And I love that it's also designed to be private. Nobody around you knows when the vibrations are happening. It's just kind of like a tiny reminder for yourself. And I feel like we spend a lot of time talking about technology that makes us more productive, but I also like seeing technology that is designed to make us a little bit calmer instead. And actually, at FS, we've been talking for years about this shift towards calmer technology and intentional well-being. So when I found this, I immediately thought that, this is exactly what I've been forecasting for all those years. So yeah, those are my three things. And apparently my current shopping list is a little big.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, Navara.
All right.
a link here.
So I'm on the culture team, and we do a lot of the consumer reports on the site. You know, we know that a lot of people have been really down on the economy lately and more careful with their spending. But I think it's also interesting to see what people are spending their money on, which is what my links get into. So the first link I have is what this article calls hot girl cars. So these are vintage off-road SUVs like Broncos and Land Rovers that have kind of taken off within a certain segment of women. If you want to just kind of scroll through slowly. I do think that this article is a little bit judgmental about the whole thing because it implies that taking pictures in front of these cars and posting them on social media is a big motivation behind these big purchases. Which honestly, if men were doing that, that wouldn't be news. And then this article talks a lot about the expense of buying these cars and then maintaining them, including, and also goes into how the women who own them also constantly get men telling them how expensive it is to maintain these cars, which can get annoying. There's this one excerpt in the article that kind of gets into the motivations behind why this has become such a big status symbol. So it says, Jim Levi runs cars for event rental in Long Island, where he says 80% of his bookings are women, mostly reserving cars for photo shoots. The look they're going for is American nostalgia. These vehicles subtly signal wealth because of their expensive upkeep. Part of the appeal is implying that you can afford to take care of it. Anyways, I just think it's interesting that these cars look very far from our image of conspicuous luxury, but they're actually very expensive to own. And then moving on to the next link. So something not quite so expensive. So we've been tracking the rise of Trader Joe's canvas bags for a while. And how this mania has kind of spread to other countries, a lot of countries where there are no Trader Joe's. And lately there's been a lot of noise around it on Chinese social media. So Jing Daily has a really great article on this, and this is the social post that they have for the article. So the article calls it the Hermes of canvas, and I think this excerpt from the article is very illuminating. The bag resonates in Asia for one simple reason: it cannot be purchased there. Carrying one marks the owner as someone who travels, has studied in the US, or moves within circles that do. And then they go on to talk about the idea of cultural capital, and that, quote, these bags offer a cheap way to buy the feeling of taste when budgets are tight. And then I know, I actually went to like a Trader Joe's the other day, like right before it was closing, and there were so many bags there, and I was like, oh, should I buy one?
I know, it's like, I remember when they first came out, and it was like when they dropped like all the different colors, and I remember it was like a thing on social media. It's like, oh, like certain colors were selling out more than others, and the Trader Joe's that was like by me, I was like, oh, like they have literally every color, and I was like, should I buy all of them? Like I was even getting into it. I was like, do I need to buy every color?
Well, if anyone needs the bags, I think they're at the Court Street Trader Joe's in New York. So anyways, my third link kind of goes into this like tension between desire and FOMO and economic precarity as well. Let's see if this works.
Oh yeah.
So this article is about how Disney adults have been racking up a lot of debt. So this article, they interview several of these people, these frequent Disney visitors, and I thought that the different ways that they justify the expense was really interesting, and the fact that most of them don't really have any regrets about it either. For one, there seems to be a gamified aspect to it. So the article says, Disney debt is distinct. For some of the most loyal park goers, there's an addictive aspect and competitive aspect to it. This is partly because of merchandise collecting. Speaking of the Trader Joe's bags, there are people who just need that souvenir, in addition to status seeking in the Disney community. There's a hierarchy of both collectors and visitors so that people feel compelled to return to the parks to impress others and earn their elder status. As someone who is not really into Disney, I think that that mindset is really interesting. I think in the end, it seems like it's just a place where a lot of people can forget about their troubles for a while. Like a lot of people talk about Disney money, and being in this Disney bubble doesn't really count, whereas they might like scrimp on and like balk at prices in the real world. They don't mind spending like $20 for a cup of coffee. But I feel like as soon as you enter Disney, there's just like this suspension of disbelief that happens, which I think is interesting. And then the next article, very quickly, is also a financial one. And it goes into the high cost of having fun this summer with all these expensive marked up tickets to like all the big sporting events and concerts. So the article, I thought this line stuck out for me. For ardent fans, budgetary concerns are no match for the fear of missing out in a you only live once economy. And then just to kind of like wrap things up on this last link, from the Business of Fashion, I think was a good reminder that fun doesn't have to be expensive. So it kind of traces the feeling of collective effervescence that seems like it's been sweeping through the summer, first with like the Knicks victory and then now the World Cup. And then in this past week, the parties that erupted around the Canal Saint-Martin in Paris, which turned what could have been like this really oppressive heat wave into a really great bonding moment. And I think this part of the article really sums it up nicely. After years of living through the K-shaped economy in which the wealthy grow far wealthier, while inflation and security pinch the middle and lower classes, the appetite for collective, inclusive experiences that allow people to meet in the middle is staggering. In recent years, fashion brands have responded by catering to customers only at the very top of the market. Could it be time to rethink that approach? Humans are pack animals, exclude too many people from the party, and who really wants to come, which I think is a nice way to sum this up.
Like so many good links, Vara. Thank you so much. Like a lot to chew on, but also a lot of really relevant stuff. So thank you. All right, Emma, look at your links.
Thanks, Ali. Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. I'm the Director of Sustainability here at FS, and I'd say my 3 links somewhat whimsical this month. Just things that I sort of came across that went, that's really quite joyful in many ways. So the first link is actually quite an odd one. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this on a personal level, but this is a new website and app that's launched called Food Never Comes. And it's basically called a dopamine kitchen. So effectively, this entire website and app has been built whereby you can go through the process of ordering food from all different types of cuisines around the world, pay for it, and I say that in inverted commas because it's automatically puts in a fake card to pay for it, and then you can literally track the order as it comes to your house, but it actually never arrives. So if you just scroll down and select a few items, the purpose of this is purely for that dopamine hit, which I find there were comments on the Instagram post where I came across this, and there are people saying things like, get a book, go outside, like, what are we doing? Why is this happening? Why do we need this? And all valid questions, in my opinion. But I was playing around with it earlier. So if you just like add any of these things to your basket, Hallie, you know, whatever you might fancy right now. Yeah, add some dumplings. And then if you go at the bottom to view cart, at the very bottom of the, yeah, you go, view cart, proceed to checkout. Oh yeah, on here you can see you can get a foodie passport and you can also earn badges. So if you're a nighttime orderer, you get to earn a badge. If you're a regular, you earn badges. So there's a bit of gamification that goes on with it as well. But yeah, if you go proceed to checkout, and then scroll down, that's a fake card. I checked, I suddenly went, wait, has this like scanned my Google system somehow and put in my, it hasn't. Place the order. And then you get to see, this is Otis the Otter is on the way to you. it's a whole weird thing. As I say, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but if you scroll down, again, when it says under while you wait, there is something connected to it beyond this dopamine hit, and they do have the recipes for over 100 different meals that you can, theoretically buy through this website, that all take about 20 minutes to make. So they will give you the recipes to make the food that you have, theoretically purchased through the app if you want to go that far. But apparently lots of people are using it just for that dopamine hit, but never actually having to spend money or eat the food. So, you know, however you want to use it. I thought it was quite fascinating that this is happening.
I wonder if it's like the same kind of thing in the brain of like when you're online shopping and you're like adding stuff to cart and you never actually buy it. Like, I wonder if
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't quite hit the same way, but maybe.
It might be, yeah, the idea, yeah, this whole dopamine shopping, dopamine hits in new ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting concept.
Yeah.
And
So funny.
using it once was quite entertaining. Whether I'd
Yeah.
use it on a regular basis, who knows? Um,
It would
and
be
then
such
my
a clever idea if it was somebody backed by somebody that's like a real food service, because then be like all of this traffic will be coming my way because surely you want the real thing now. Now that you've stared at it for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and then my second link is based in London. So we should open a video, but we don't have to have the sound on if we don't want to. So this guy is taking us through to Jerry's Pompeii. So this is along one of the canals within London, and it's been developed by a guy for over 30 years, I think, number of decades, all in secrecy. It's a sculpture kind of garden that he was just keeping and creating for himself. And as you can see, it's kind of got all of these different statues in it. It's got loads of different elements embedded into the wall. He didn't actually own this area of land. Someone kind of gifted it to him to build this sculpture garden. And these little statues that are kind of going through, that you can see one of them there, and you can scroll. If you go to the Jerry's Pompeii Instagram account in the comment, yeah, you can see more of them. The guy is no longer with us, but there's now a whole big campaign to kind of keep this Jerry's Pompeii alive. And they've actually started doing kayak trips down the canal. So you can do like a 2.5 hour kayak trip to go and see Jerry's Pompeii. All, funding going towards its upkeep. And the different statues that they have are kind of these mythical figures throughout time. And then there's also a statue of him in there as well. And what the guy that was doing that video talked about is that he didn't call himself an artist, he called himself a gardener, which I just thought was a really nice kind of twist on what he was doing. But yeah, I think it's just a magical place that I'd love to go and see in real life. And yeah, clearly it's already got a following. So
Oh, very cool.
and then the last link is something called Office of Collecting. So this is US based, and I believe it started kind of 2020 era, but more recently has started doing like road trips around various states. If you click on that first video, it'll give you a good glimpse, the first post, yeah. Effectively, this is a traveling museum of all the things we consistently lose and forget about in our day-to-day lives. And this museum, you are designed to go in and open every cupboard, every drawer, like kind of like rifle through all the different elements in there. And it's just all these things that, we've all had throughout our lifetime, and you could just lose them and kind of forget that you ever had them. There's a drawer of like pink erasers, single dominoes, single dice, beads, what do you call those? Yeah. Can't remember. Yeah, all these like kind of things, these items that are also familiar to us, curated in this really beautiful way that also has a very nostalgic twinge to it. And they do kind of a sharing situation. You can post things to them to add to their collection. I think you can also buy certain elements from it, or just photos of different collections like this that they have like on postcards and stuff. I just think it's such a nice way to honor all of these products that we have throughout our lifetime that we might not have like a real value to us on any kind of deep level, but to demonstrate how much value they do actually hold in multiple different ways. And yeah, it is touring, I think, in September. I can't remember exactly where, but it's back on tour in September. And that's me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Emma. And then last but not least, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole, Director of Kidswear. So the first one I've had saved for months. I was really excited to share with everyone. Our active director also sent it to me, so I knew this was definitely one worth sharing. So if you click on the first link, so this is a UK-based charity called Playrise, and the concept behind it is that at many refugee camps around the world, play can understandably be an afterthought, as the first focus is food and shelter. But studies have shown that play is critical for helping kids develop motor function, relational skills. It's also a key therapeutic tool for kids that have experienced trauma. So all of these insights inspired Playrise to design play structures for children living in disaster relief sites around the world. So Alexander Menninger, he's the director of Playrise, was quoted in a Fast Company article that said, "Play is important generally for every child to develop, but especially for kids who are in really extreme circumstances. It helps them to regain some sense of normality, overcome trauma, and escape the horrors that they've seen. It's really beyond the physical and mental development for every kid. For them, play has a really big role in terms of healing." And if you scroll down a little bit on the website, are you already at the bottom? Sorry. There's a little video that's about a 2-minute video that's really great. So those are some sketches of the different play sites that they ship. But the video does a really great job of just kind of showing the product and explaining the thought process behind it, if you just want to play that.
If you look at the spaces here, there's nothing.
All of the structures are damaged, so the children have no place to play.
I have 2 kids of my own. Kids learn everything through play, no matter where they are. Every child should have these opportunities. So I founded Playrise because we want to change that.
I'm an architect. I strongly believe that you need to create designs with communities and not just for them.
Why?
Come with us. We used a huge giant fabric playground as a tool to see what the kids enjoy.
Couldn't be happier, like the kids are excited. It's nice to have to set up the workshop differently every time, because that's what you also need to be able to do with the playground in a way. You need to be adaptable.
These sessions have underlined the importance to design a playground that's able to be shaped by the different communities. Oh, that's cool. So we thought to create a system in which they could use their imagination to create their own playscape. You can create slides, ramps, swings. You can create little dens. And because it's so quick and easy to reassemble, they can just change it.
A new playground every weekend.
If you take one thing away from this, is these kids need playground.
The mission is to reach as many children as possible.
The playground will be flat packed, allowing quick shipment around the world. It can be easily assembled by each individual community, whichever way their imagination takes them.
To design that fits for each children, it's very wonderful.
So their goal is to eventually make play universally accessible to nearly 50 million kids globally. So if we move on to my next link. So one of the things that we talk often about in kids is how to make products more kid-focused. So this is something like, is the zipper tab big enough for a kid to be able to zipper them up themselves? Are the shoes designed in a way where kids can put them on independently? So I love how this brand, Cherry Lane, who's a brand done by Melissa and Doug, who's a very popular toy maker here. They took a classic toy that I loved as a child, the dollhouse, and they tweaked it to be more inclusive. So it's basically, there's an open top design and a flexible modular layout so kids can play from above with a clear, unobstructed view. So what they noticed with younger kids or smaller kids with the classic dollhouse, they couldn't reach the upper floors or they would be knocking things around trying to reach in. So I just really love how there's this classic toy item that we've all known, played with. I'm sure we've experienced, as a younger kid, kind of the cumbersome bubbling around as you're still trying to, develop. So again, a very simple solution to a classic toy, which is why I decided to show this link today. And my last, and I think we're going to make it on time, which is always amazing. My third link is, I know right now in many parts of the world, it's a heat wave or it's just a hot summer. So this last one has hopefully a cooling and calming effect. It's going on right now in New York at the Park Ave Armory until August 2nd. And it's called Clinamin, and it was created by Celeste Bouzet-Mogenot. And it features nearly 800 floating porcelain bowls that are drifting across 3 large water basins. So they're gently colliding to create spontaneous meditative chime. He developed this system that extends the notion of a musical score by transforming repurposed objects into sophisticated instruments that create spontaneous live sounds without human intervention. And the title, Clinamin, refers to the random motion of atoms, and it's a concept that resonates with the work's changing and unpredictable nature. So each moment in the installation's life is unique, offering a sensory and temporal experience that is individual and also collective. There's a little just link to a quick just Instagram video that kind of shows you a bit of the experience and the sound. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much, team. I feel like such amazing links. And thank you to everyone for joining. We will see you all back for August. So thank you again, team. Take care.